What happens when America's most feared special operators come face to face with Australia's silent jungle ghosts? During the Vietnam War, the U.S. Navy SEALs were already becoming legends. Masters of close-quarters combat, amphibious insertions, and brutal hit-and-run raids across the Mekong Delta. They moved fast. They struck hard. And they disappeared before the enemy could react. But deep inside Vietnam's triple-canopy jungle, they encountered something different. Something quieter. Something colder. They met the Australian SAS, not as rivals, not in competition, but shoulder to shoulder assigned to joint reconnaissance missions. Deep behind enemy lines, the Americans called themselves frogmen. The Australians earned a different name. Phantoms. At first, there was curiosity. Then confusion. Then something unexpected. Awe. Because the SEALs, masters of stealth, by most standards found themselves outmatched. Not in firepower, not in aggression, but in stillness. A stillness so complete that breathing felt loud. Movement that didn't bend a single leaf. Patience measured not in minutes or hours, but in days waiting for one perfect moment. One SEAL would later say, "I thought I knew silence, until I met the SAS." This is the story of what happened when two of the most elite special forces on Earth shared the same jungle and quietly learned from each other. This isn't about who was better. It's about a clash of philosophies. Speed versus silence. Action versus absence. Steel versus shadow. And in the mud, sweat, and suffocating quiet of Vietnam, both units discovered there was more than one way to survive and vanish. Water versus jungle, two doctrines. One war. To understand what happened, you have to understand who they were. The Navy SEALs were forged in water and fire. Born from the underwater demolition teams of World War II, they were built for aggression, speed, and adaptability. Their battlefield was the Mekong Delta, where rivers were highways and ambushes. Came from reeds and darkness. SEAL doctrine was simple. Strike fast. Kill hard. Move faster. But place that mindset inside Vietnam's deep jungle, where visibility dropped to a few meters. Sound carried forever, and the forest punished every mistake. Now enter the Australian SAS. Their roots were amphibious. They came from long-range patrols in North Africa, then counterinsurgency campaigns in Malaya and Borneo. They didn't crash through enemy territory. They merged with it. The SAS didn't fight unless necessary. They didn't shoot unless survival demanded it. Their doctrine wasn't assault, it was absence. Disappear, observe, record, kill only if required, then vanish again. For them, silence wasn't tactical. It was sacred. So when joint operations placed SEALs and SAS on the same patrols, the differences were immediate and unsettling. SEAL teams moved in 6 to 8 men. SAS patrols rarely exceeded 5. SEALs carried suppressed M16s, machine guns, even shotguns. SAS operators carried L1A1 rifles 7.62, stopping power, and often completed week-long patrols without firing a single round. SEALs used radios constantly. SAS patrols often kept theirs off, entirely communicating with hand signals or not at all. One American team leader later said, "It wasn't arrogance. It was philosophy." Where SEALs saw opportunity, SAS saw exposure. Where SEALs valued momentum, SAS demanded control. And in the real jungle, not rivers and deltas, stillness usually won. A silent patrol. Why the SEALs felt loud. The first joint patrol began routinely. Clean insertion. Clear comes. Weapons checked. But after moving barely 200 meters into the jungle, something felt wrong. Not dangerous. Not hostile. Just off. The Australians weren't talking. They weren't pointing. They weren't rushing. They moved slowly, deliberately, like men who already knew the jungle's next move. No radio chatter. No clinking gear. No careless sounds. Everything padded, wrapped, muted. Then came the first test. A faint rustle ahead, possible enemy movement. The SEAL point man froze and signaled. When he glanced back at the Australians, they were gone, flat on the ground, melted into roots and shadows. One SAS trooper vanished so completely that the SEAL beside him had to search to find him. The patrol halted. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Then 30. Mosquitoes swarmed. Sweat pooled. The jungle hummed. The SAS didn't move. After nearly an hour, the SEAL leader whispered, "Do you see anything?" The Australian patrol commander didn't turn his head. "Didn't blink." He whispered back, "If they haven't seen us yet, they won't. Let's keep it that way." This wasn't silence by order. It was silence by instinct. By the end of that day, the SEALs began noticing details. Movement timed with wind. Pauses when birds stopped singing. Bodies angled to dissolve into broken tree lines. Nothing was accidental. One SEAL later said, "They didn't move fast, but they never stopped moving. Like chasing fog." No shots were fired. No contact made, but the SEALs arrived as equals and left as students. Lessons in stillness. How to disappear. Over the following days, the SEALs began adopting SAS habits, not because they were ordered to, but because they worked. The first lesson was movement, where SEALs covered a kilometer in an hour. The SAS sometimes took an hour to move 10 meters. At first it was maddening, then it became mesmerizing. The SAS taught them how to read the jungle-bent foliage. Broken patterns, shadows that didn't belong. Next came stillness. One night, the joint patrol occupied an observation point overlooking a suspected NVA route. The SAS didn't rotate watches, didn't whisper, didn't shift. They became statues. Hours passed. Just before dawn, silhouettes appeared. Then more. An entire enemy column walked straight into view. A SEAL whispered, "How did you know?" The SAS leader murmured back, "Because the jungle went quiet." Another lesson was signature management. Wrapped buckles, dull blades, unscented food, mud over metal, no reflective paint, no clicking gear. Finally, restraint. When VC scouts passed beneath them, a SEAL raised his rifle. An SAS corporal gently touched his arm. No shooting. "We need the rest." They waited. And the battlefield revealed its logic. What the SAS learned? From the SEALs, the Australians were watching too. SEAL gear was lighter, smarter, modular. Their radios were better. Their mobility, especially near water, was unmatched. SEALs struck fast, adapted instantly, modified weapons on the fly. They were aggressive, but controlled. The SAS absorbed these lessons quietly. Adapt or die. The perfect ambush. 48 hours of waiting deep in Phuoc Chu province. A joint SAS SEAL team waited over a Viet Cong supply trail. The SAS arrived first. Invisible. The SEALs arrived later, surprised to find no trace of them. Rain fell. Time dragged. Tension grew. The SEALs wanted to move. The SAS waited. Scouts appeared. No fire. Then the full column emerged. Dozens. The signal wasn't shouted. It was a click. 7 seconds of violence. Then silence. The jungle swallowed everything. During extraction, a SEAL joked, "You guys ever speed it up?" The SAS replied calmly, "Different speeds, same direction." And the jungle remembered who waited longer.